What is up? My name is Matt Workman for Cinematography Database, and today we're going to be looking at the cinematography of the music video for Bruno Mars, That's What I Like. And I'm looking at it on YouTube right now, and it's up to a healthy 81 million views, so pretty good. This music video was produced by a production company called Good Company. I'm on their website right now, and these are some of the directors that are signed with them, and a friend of mine, Jonathan Leah, he is the director of this music video, and I guess technically he co-directed it because I think it was Bruno Mars and Jonathan Leah directed it. So you can go to this website and watch it there, or you can of course go to the YouTube version, which I'll be linking to. Here's some of Jonathan's other work. I forgot that he did I'm on a Boat. That's a hilarious video if you haven't seen that yet. I talked to him on Facebook and he told me the DP for this project, his name is Santiago Gonzalez, so this is his website. Here's his Instagram account. He is a DP. He is Union, Local 600 in the States. And he's also rep by Parto. So go follow Santiago_G3 on Instagram. Say what's up. Tell him that Cinematography Database sent him your way. That'll be interesting. Okay, so here we are in Cinema 4D, and I've used Cine Designer to recreate what I believe is the lighting setup. There were no behind the scenes for this music video. Jonathan told me that there were no phones at all allowed on set, so I had to recreate it completely here. I do usually like to work from behind the scenes, but in this case, I made an exception and I built the whole thing in Cine Designer. Kind of fun. We'll be looking at the lights in Photoshop in just a minute, but we have two breezies on both sides. These are umbrella lights. This entire shoot, I believe, was tungsten, because if you look at the actual music video, in between the fades that happen, because they fade between this light and this one, you can see a lot of warmth in the color on the cyc wall. And that typically means that you're dimming down or turning off tungsten lights, because they get really warm as they turn off. I do believe that they shot with some sort of techno crane. I did not confirm with anybody from the shoot, but we see the camera height changing throughout the music video, and towards the end we end up in a close-up that is pretty much overhead, and that's usually going to be done with a techno crane. It's much easier to control it and much smoother, and on a set this big it's not going to be all that bad for the budget. In the background here, I have called out for the background, I put some 5Ks on there, some Arri T5s, but I do believe that they were probably more like Mole Richardson sky pans, probably 5K, 10K sky pans. I just didn't have them for Cine Designer yet. I will be adding those soon. And for edge lights, we have, I would say, either T5 or T12s in chimeras for the edge lights. Okay, so that's a wide shot overview of what I think the lighting setup looked like. Let's hop into Photoshop and look at each one of the lights on individually and talk about that. Okay, so to start, we have Bruno Mars here, and we have a pretty large single wall white cyc in the background. This is my guess on the distance and the size of the cyc based on something like a 32mm on an Alexa XT. That's what I guess that they would shot with. And I think they're using a zoom lens because the focal length does change, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to be changing primes on a shoot like this with a crane. So let's look at the first light that's going to be happening here. And this right here, I'm going to write it out real quick. This is a breezy 140, and it could also be like the 220, though the 140 is pretty common for something like this. And it's a parabolic light. It's an umbrella light, not too dissimilar from the Aperture 120 dome. It's a little bit nicer. It's a lot more powerful, and I'm guessing that they're going to be shooting with a T5, which is a 5K bulb in this, because it's pretty far away and you want to get to like, you know, T5, 6 or something like that. For a shoot like this, it's coming from the side, pretty straightforward, and we're going to talk about what this is in 1 second. But this is the shot through the camera, and we can see that in the final video, there's actually kind of a blue grade going on in the background, and maybe we'll try to do that in Photoshop, but I'm pretty sure it looked like this when they were shooting it, and also similar contrast level, so they added a little bit of contrast in post, made it a little blue. You can see that the key light is coming from this direction, and if you look at the shadow in the music video, it's very similar to the shadow that's happening inside of Cine Designer. But let's go back and look at what that black piece of fabric was in front of the light. Okay, so we're back in the wide shot here, and we have our breezy 140 shooting light towards Bruno Mars, and we have what is called here a teaser. I will write this out. And a teaser is simply just a piece of fabric, usually duvetine or just, you know, something that is very dark, and you hang it in front of the light to block the light from going to certain parts of the set that you don't want it to go to. So if we look at this light here right in the center, that light is going to make it to Bruno Mars, and we're going to also have it hit the floor here, not a big deal. But what they do is they put that teaser there that stops it from going to the background. So essentially this teaser is going to just stop this light from hitting the background, and effectively it's going to make the background darker. So here's the shot with the teaser. Here's the shot without the teaser. You see that the background gets a lot brighter with the teaser back in, with the teaser out, and with it back in. So let's look through the camera with the same thing. Here's the shot with the teaser. Here's the shot without it. So the background is a lot brighter. Here's that same shot with the teaser back in. It's going to keep the light a lot more controlled and allow them to work against a darker background, which is what they want because they wanted to draw motion graphics over it like you've seen in the video. Moving right along, they had another key light on the other side, and they were either using a teaser like this or they put a control grid in the breezy or whatever the key light was. I'm guessing it was a teaser, but it easily could have been a control grid that would do something similar for keeping the light off the background. Throughout the music video, you'll see them switch key lights from the right side to the left side, and this is the relative placement, and I'm guessing the size and power of those sources. Moving on to lighting the cyc wall, I'm calling out 3 Arri T5s here, but in reality they were probably Mole Richardson sky pans, which I'll write out right here. Sky pans, not sky panels, sky pans. So these are 5K big tungsten bulbs with a big dish behind it, and it makes a really wide and even spread. They're basically designed to light cycloramas or to light trans lights. I would guess they were using sky pans. I just don't have them visualized in Cine Designer right now. I would guess something like 3 to 5 of them, depending on how bright it needed to be, and these would all be ganged together, or not daisy chained, but all this cabling would be going down to a dimmer board back here, because these lights are dimming off and on throughout the music video, and you can see them get kind of warm as they dim down, like we said in the beginning, which really shows that they were probably tungsten lights. So this is looking through the camera with just the cyc lights on right here, and you can watch this horizon line. It's a little bit harsh in Cine Designer, it's a little bit softer in reality. Moving on to the edge lights coming from this direction, there's also one on the other side, which we'll look at in a second. I would guess that this is an Arri T5 with a medium chimera on it. That's just my guess. They are focusing it to keep it off of the background so that it doesn't pollute into this darker gray, which they need to do to add the motion graphics, like we've said already. Here's that shot through the lens with just one of the edge lights. And here's a shot of the same setup except with the edge light on the other side. And of course, I'm showing these soloed. All the lights would have been there at the same time. They would have just been turning them off and on. I thought it'd be easier to illustrate it this way for you guys though. Here is that same shot, except with the edge light coming from the right. So those are all the main light sources. It may not have been these exact units, but I think if you had to execute using what I've laid out here, it would come out looking pretty similar. So we have a key light on both sides. I'm guessing a Breezy 140 with a T5. On the background, I'm guessing 3 sky panels, and then for backlights, or for edge lights rather, I'm guessing T5s with medium chimeras. Now, if you watch the music video, there's kind of an interesting progression where they'll have just the key light, and then sometimes it'll be just the background lights, and sometimes it'll be the background lights with the edge light. I'm going to show you a couple of those combinations in Cine Designer right now. So here's a combination with the background lights and the key light coming from the right. It looks something like this. They do this quite a bit. Basically, whatever way he's facing, they turn that key light on in most cases. Here's that same setup again with the background lights and the edge light and the key light. They did this a little bit too. There was a bunch of different combinations, and I think from this point forward, you can figure out what those were based on what we talked about here. So that wraps it up for this video. If you liked it, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more cinematography of series videos, hopefully with behind the scenes combined with Cine Designer, but in the case where there is no behind the scenes and I feel like I can figure out the lighting setup, I will be illustrating it in 3D using Cine Designer like we have in this episode. The one thing I wanted to mention as well is about the motion. It's not necessarily the cinematography or the lighting of it, but it does appear that he has some sort of that kind of like Monsters animation going on, so very likely they played the song back in halftime, recorded it in 12 frames per second, and then played it back in 24. That's how you get this kind of like fast motion dancing going on. That combined with Bruno Mars' pop and lock dancing skills, you get this interesting effect, and of course they put motion graphics over it. And I've seen a couple YouTube videos where people have explained how to do that in After Effects. That's beyond my skill level, but maybe I'll look at that and maybe use that in some of the videos that I do for this channel. If you have any questions about this music video or anything else, or have a request for videos that you want to see broken down, leave them in the comments below. Until next time, you guys get out there and plan better, shoot better.